WWE TLC 2020. A good pay-per-view, but not a great pay-per-view. Although it is one that I think will be memorable. I think it was significantly better than Survivor Series. That show was just very boring. And they had a couple of really good matches. Actually, you know what? It might have actually been a great pay-per-view. I gotta think about this. It's thumbs up, but not all the way up. You know what I mean? The title matches, the Roman Reigns match versus Kevin Owens was my personal favorite on the show for the Universal title. They did some crazy stuff here. Jey Uso was out there taking some crazy bumps. You know, Roman, the Tribal Chief, like I've said before, is my favorite character right now in pro wrestling. Absolute best heel. And Kevin Owens was kind of just put there, I think, as a placeholder. I believe the plan's to go with Daniel Bryan next for Royal Rumble. Hopefully they'll change that because I want Daniel Bryan to win the Rumble and wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Even if he loses to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, please don't give us Goldberg. Please. They are teasing Goldberg and Roman Reigns. I do not want to see Goldberg ever again. Please. But back to this match. You know, the difference between this TLC match and the one earlier with AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre is the AJ one had a little bit more, I want to say it had a little bit more high flying because it's AJ, of course. This one had a little bit more violence. Now, the Drew McIntyre one was interesting because about halfway through, and this was the match that opened the show, and one thing that I'll tell y'all is I don't like when world title matches open pay-per-views. I know WWE's done it before, and I know that there are plans to like space out shows to like bookend them so you have like, you know, a big match open, big match close. I understand that, but in my opinion, the world title should never open the show. You can put it on like third to last or second to last or whatever, or even fourth to last. But to me, the opener should be like a hot match. And they didn't really have too much here, but the WWE title match was a hot match, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it opening the show, I don't know how I feel about that. Lots of action. About halfway through the match, or close to the end of it, Miz comes out and cashes in his Money in the Bank and makes it a triple threat TLC match. Now, I think, and I've talked about this before, like on podcasts years ago, whenever somebody does this, it's very, very stupid. Seth Rollins did it at WrestleMania 31 and he won the title with that, but it's still a very dumb decision because if you're a heel, for example, and you have the Money in the Bank, why would you cash in and make a match a three-way when you can just like wait for the match to end, come out, beat the dude up, then cash in and get the belt the way it's supposed to be done, the way that Edge did it, the way that Dolph Ziggler did it. Like, that's how Money in the Bank works. It's supposed to be a big shocker. So Miz comes in there and he's in the match and he has some crazy spots, but you know, they had this awesome spot too where I forgot to mention that Drew McIntyre does a gorilla press slam on AJ and then tosses him out through tables. There was also this this awesome spot where AJ did the leg lock. I'm forgetting the name of the move now, bro. My mind is drawing a blank right here. And it was on a ladder. That was pretty cool. But no, so why would you be so dumb as to cash in your Money in the Bank when there's still like wait for the match to end and then do it? Like, it's dumb. And because of that, Miz wound up not winning because McIntyre won. Now, one thing I'll give him credit for is with this match, they did a tremendous job of making you think that one guy was going to win. The entire segment went around 45 minutes. It was long. Like, this was a long match, a long segment. And I was thinking, you know, like near the end they had these false finishes where you had like AJ climbing up and you had like Miz and they're almost there, then they don't get it, then they're almost there, they don't get it. It was just like awesome. Drew McIntyre wound up winning. The finish was McIntyre. It was pretty awesome. He hits Miz with a Claymore kick and then basically like Miz and Styles are at the top of the ladder. And then McIntyre pushes it over, and then AJ took a really, really scary bump to the floor, and I think he might have cut himself open, yo. This looked pretty damn scary. And then what happened was, then McIntyre claymored him, and then climbed the ladder and won the title. So McIntyre is still your champion going into the end of the year. They did Sasha Banks and Carmela. Actually, a better match than I was expecting. Sasha Banks, unlike the Mandalorian, did not die. Spoiler. Sorry if you didn't see that episode yet. I think she's dead. She might not be dead, but I think she's dead when Moff Gideon shot her. But, no, Carmela is not my favorite at all. I don't like Carmela that much. But she, she did the best she could. And I gotta say, man, Billie Kay, I don't know what happened to her, bro, but her stock plummeted in my eyes, all right? And we'll leave it at that. I was a big fan of the Iconics, but the way she looks now, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. The Hurt Business beat the New Day to win the WWE Raw Tag Team titles. I'm fine with this. I actually think the Hurt Business has been one of the more entertaining acts of the year. A bunch of dudes from 2006 came back with a vengeance here. MVP's been pretty awesome, so I'm actually fine with them doing this. Now, Charlotte Flair was the winner. I'm sorry, the winner. She was. She was the secret partner of Asuka against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. This match started off pretty bad. Like, it was sloppy, and then it got better. I'm not a fan of Nia Jax. Now, the match was cool because Charlotte and Asuka have that feud. They had that WrestleMania match in New Orleans. I was there live. They stole the show. That was my favorite match on that show. And Asuka picked Charlotte Flair. And to me, it was interesting because Charlotte comes out. She looks very different. She looks very thin. And it looks like her breast implants. She got her breast implants either redone or taken out because she looked a lot thinner and they were smaller. And you could tell. Like, she looked different. And, it's safer to not have breast implants because when you wrestle, they can kind of mess with your weight. So as far as like a wrestler goes, I think that might be better for Charlotte. But it was distracting to see her look very, very different. Like, very, very different. Apparently, her implants actually, like, bursted or had some kind of injury or something. It's very dangerous when you get breast implants, ladies. So please think about it before you do it. There are dangers there. And then the main event. So this main event was something else, yo. The Firefly Inferno match. Basically, they lit not only the side of the ring on fire, but the outside and different parts. Whenever you do a match with fire, it's very, very dangerous, no matter what. Now, some of this match was absolutely pre-taped. No, Bray Wyatt was not really set on fire in the ring. That was a wax dummy. But they made it look great because they made it look like it was live. And when they would never do a match like this live again. Like the Inferno match, the old one, they did it, they got away with it. Now with this kind of stuff, especially that ending, there's no way. But throughout the match, it was interesting because Randy Orton came out with the black pants and the hoodie, and then the Fiend wore the black jacket. So I'm like, okay, the outfits have to be flame retarded. And by the way, that's actually what it's called when your outfit is protected for fire, is flame retarded. So I knew someone was going to go into the fire. But the match was just this big brawl where, and this is wacky, yo. All the Fiend matches are like this, bro. They try to kill each other. Like the Fiend busts out he's trying, he has a spot where he brings out the rocking chair, sits Randy Orton in it, douses it in gasoline, and then lights a match to burn the damn. Randy Orton got out of the way, but it was to burn the rocking chair. Like, this was crazy, yo. This was crazy. It was definitely something unique that's never been done before. At least not like this. I mean, dude, the Fiend whipped out like an axe handle. Like an axe and a chain. Like it's like they were trying to kill each other, bro. They might as well have done a cinematic match. This reminded me a lot. It's not the same thing, but it reminded me of the Jon Moxley Kenny Omega match last year. Because that one, I think, took it too far. And I think with pro wrestling, and I'm not talking about the dangers of wrestling. I'm talking about more so the suspension of disbelief. I like the idea that pro wrestling is a sport. We're pretending it's a real sport, but with wackiness and storylines and characters. When you have fire in there, it's not really necessary. And I think the reason why WWE did this is because they wanted to kind of have this match be talked about the next day. It's a water cooler match. And I think that is going to happen. I think that people are going to be talking about this match for the next week or two. Because it was something very unique. The ending was insane. Bray Wyatt gets set on fire, and then he gets into the ring. Then Randy Orton RKO's him. So I guess Randy wins because Bray got set on fire. And then what happened was Randy Orton gets some gasoline, pours it on Bray Wyatt's like body, which was a wax dummy at this point, and then lights it on fire. So the pay-per-view ends with Bray Wyatt's body being lit on fire, like completely lit on fire. It was just, I mean, I don't know if they're going to get rid of the Fiend character. Probably not, because the Fiend has survived a lot worse than this. Like Hell in a Cell last year when he took the sledgehammer to the face like 10 times. But man, this was, I don't know if this was really a good match, right? As far as like a good wrestling match. This was more like, basically it was more like a spectacle. You know what I mean? Like it was more like something that you're going to be talking about. But it might not necessarily be like a good, quote, match. But it definitely was a spectacle. The fire in the background added a layer to the scenery, to the aesthetic of the match. It was crazy. And I just can't imagine like young people who have never seen an Inferno match watching this for the first time, yo. I guarantee you there's some kid out there who had his mind blown by this. I just hope that people don't think that fire is safe, because fire is not safe, yo. And obviously you guys know that, but it's like, dude, like, these type of matches are not necessary, but again, it's a spectacle. It's one of those things where WWE wanted to end the year out with something crazy, and it was all because Randy Orton burned down the Sister Abigail house or whatever it was, like 3 years ago or whatever. Overall, this pay-per-view was a big improvement over Survivor Series. You know what? I said at the beginning it was good, not great. It was pretty damn good. I would say it was a very good show. Not the best. There weren't really any great like wrestling matches. It was a lot of garbage wrestling, like as far as like weapons and chairs and tables and ladders and that type of stuff all over the show. I mean, top to bottom. It was all brawls, and you know, if you like that kind of wrestling, this is the show for you, for sure. You know, there was some like, you know, Charlotte and, I mean, I feel like Charlotte, Asuka, Shayna Baszler, and Nia Jax could have had a really, really good match. If we had Nia Jax from like 2 or 3 years ago and she was actually a really good worker, I enjoyed watching her back then. It could have been a lot better, but I felt like it was kind of a letdown, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I say if you haven't seen this show, you should probably watch the main event and the 2 TLC matches. Those were pretty damn good. And I'll bring this review to a close. Thank you for watching. And what do you think about TLC 2020? Let me know down below. We'll talk soon.